Welcome back to the Laser Laboratory, otherwise known as the Confluent Electronics Lab. I will be your host, Art McBain. In this video, I'm going to walk you through setting up Inkscape to print to the laser cutter. Inkscape is a free open source vector drawing software that you can use at home and is also available on the laser cutter computer. When setting up a new file, the first thing we want to do is go to the document properties. We want to make sure that our units for the document are set to something in the real world. This includes millimeters, inches, and centimeters. We do not want pixels or points. For today, I'm going to set it to inches. We also want to make sure that our display units, which are up here at the top, also match our selection down in the dimensions area. Next, we're going to try to replicate the object we created in the last video inside of CorelDRAW. We're going to take and draw a square here, and then we're going to also draw a circle over here. Next, I want to change the dimensions of the square to be 2 inches across using the toolbar here. And then I'm going to take and change the circle to be 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. The square, I'm going to take and go over here to the fill and stroke toolbar on the side, and I'm going to make sure that it has no fill, has no paint selected, has a flat color for the stroke selected, and then under stroke style, I'm going to change it to be 0.01 inches so that it is sufficiently small to be cut out by the laser cutter, but also will not be engraved. Next, for the circle, I want to go back over here and go to the stroke paint tab. I'm going to select no paint because I don't want it to have an outline, and then I'm going to go to the fill tab and select flat color. Then I will drag the circle inside the square, select both the square and the circle, and drag them to the upper left corner of the page. Next, to print, we're going to go to Extensions, Export, and Win32 Vector Print. If you use the print dialog like you would in CorelDRAW, the laser cutter will not do what you want it to. So instead, we use this extension that is built into Inkscape and has been customized for our use here at Confluent. We want to select the combined job, just as we did before in CorelDRAW, so that we can cut out this shape here and engrave this circle here with one print run. You'll notice down here that we have a vector threshold box. This is how small an outline has to be in order to be considered a vector outline by the laser cutter. It is currently set to 0.15 inches, but we can also make it smaller if we would like to have outlines that are larger than or equal to 0.15 inches, but not treated as engraving. So what we're going to do next is hit Apply, and it's going to bring up the printer setup dialog. By default, it selects the Epilogue Engraver Win X64 Copy 1. In order to control our settings, we're going to go to Properties, and we're presented with the same dialog we did back in CorelDRAW. At this point, we're going to make sure that we have the combined job checked. This job type can be different from the job type selected in Inkscape, and it is possible that if you select a different job type here than the one in Inkscape, you will end up printing nothing, so please be aware. As our page size is different in Inkscape than it was in CorelDRAW, we want to change it to match. The horizontal is 8.5 inches, just like a standard printer paper, by 11 inches tall. We want to make sure that these match, otherwise interesting things could occur. As again, we want the autofocus to be checked, and then we can continue on setting the raster settings as before, and the vector settings. We will again select 15 for our speed and 100% for our power, and drag this down to be somewhere around 400 to 500. Once we are done, we can click the OK button, and then we can click the OK button on the printer setup, and we are ready to go. At this point, you can then go over to the laser cutter and print your job. If you would like to print it again with different settings, you can come back to the Win32 Vector Print dialog, change some items here, or click Apply, and then change items in the Properties dialog. You'll notice that unfortunately, unlike CorelDRAW, all of your settings revert every time you open the printer dialog, and so you need to set them again every time you want to make a new print. In a future video, I will show you how to save settings so that you can load them on the fly and you won't have to write them down every time. Thank you for watching.